we can do here is load a couple of different types of warheads depending on the mission. Could be high explosive, airburst, or illumination, depending on what we want to do.
Tensions are building between the United States and the country of North Korea. China warned today that the standoff on the Korean peninsula could spin out of control.
A $12 million relic meets a $36 million war machine. A North Korean Mi-24 Hind, armed with little more than a 23mm cannon, dives across the nose of a U.S. Apache Guardian in the Yellow Sea. But what happens when Cold War intimidation collides with network precision? The answer exposes not just a helicopter destroyed, but an entire strategy dismantled in seconds. Stay with me, because you're about to see why in modern warfare, intimidation is just another word for self-destruction. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. A Cold War-era flying fortress moved low across the water, its wide stub wings bristling with weapons. It was meant to intimidate. And intimidation can work, if the other side believes the bluff. But in this case, the facade cracked the second the Apache's sensors lit it up.
All the helicopters in the Army, I feel like this is probably one of the most exciting to fly. I mean, just looking at it, it looks incredibly intimidating.
The Hind entered international airspace with clear instructions, threatened the American gunship without pulling the trigger. Its presence alone was supposed to warn, pushing the Apache back through sheer spectacle. To an untrained eye, the Hind still looked powerful. Heavy frame. Twin engines. Cannons mounted under the nose. Yet its orders betrayed the truth: it wasn't a fighter, it was a signal. The Apache floating in that same airspace wasn't alone. No American aircraft is.
It provides attack missions, reconnaissance missions, security missions in support of the ground force commander, and is able to engage any enemy target on the battlefield.
Its mast-mounted radar wasn't just guiding its own crew. Every sweep of its sensors fed information to a wider net, a carrier strike group just offshore. That meant every flicker, every spike, every wobble of the Hind's aging systems was now cataloged and tracked in real time. The Apache wasn't a single helicopter in a duel. It was a node in a machine that already knew what would happen before the Hind moved a muscle. Loadouts on paper reveal the imbalance. The Apache carried Hellfire missiles able to destroy tanks from miles away.
This next pylon, we got the AGM-114 Hellfires. This is actually the Apache's primary weapon system. This is used for tank busting.
It carried pods of folding fin rockets, ideal for area suppression. A 30mm chain gun sat under the cockpit, stable and precise, able to hammer targets with a stream of fire while the aircraft swiveled above.
Rocket pod. We have quite a few variations of rockets that we can use in the aircraft, and we can upgrade them as we need to for each mission and when we need them.
For this encounter, though, the deciding factor was a rare weapon: Stinger missiles strapped to the stub pylons, built to kill aircraft, not ground vehicles. Few adversaries ever see them fired. Tonight, they would. The Hind, by contrast, still held the weapons of an era long gone. Rockets with shorter range. Cannons locked into fixed positions that demanded predictable flight patterns. Avionics that often failed, leaving gunners relying more on instinct than sensors. Its crew carried shoulder-launched Igla missiles for close defense, but those systems worked best against lumbering transports, not against attack helicopters guided by radar grids. Against the Apache's suite, it was a matter of time, not parity. Then came the breakdown. The Hind's crew tried to lock an Igla on the Apache's heat signature. The tone failed. The seeker head drifted. When they attempted to force a launch, the control switch jammed.
A 7.5-inch Hydra 70 rocket system. So in this actual rocket tube here, we can take up to 19 rockets. However, we can put up to 4 of them on the aircraft. That'd give us a total of 76 rockets.
6 seconds passed. 6 long seconds inside the cockpit, where pilots knew each half second was an eternity. They pulled, tapped, pressed, trying again, but the system refused. Their one chance hung frozen in place as the Apache's crew finished the firing sequence. At that instant, the Apache spat out its answer. 2 Stingers accelerated off its rail, streaking ahead at more than twice the speed of sound.
I don't see it being any different than the large number of previous situations.
What we can do here is load a couple of different types of warheads depending on the mission. Could be high explosive, airburst, or illumination depending on what we want to do.
For perspective, the missiles outran the Hind's ability to swing its fuselage by hundreds of meters. There was no time to dodge. No chance to pitch. The Steel Serpent was already reaching for them before the Hind's rotors even shifted into a defensive bank. The first warhead drove straight into the engineer's nightmare. It slammed under the left engine cowling, igniting fuel lines, sending orange flame blossoming along the body. The Hind rolled, shuddering, shedding altitude. Yet before it could stabilize, the second Stinger arrived. It ripped through the main fuselage, tearing plating and vital systems in half a breath.
It's very likely that these were trying to figure out troop disposition. The second thing they were trying to do, obviously, was probably provocation.
In one blink, the lumbering frame that once terrified infantry columns was nothing more than wreckage tumbling into the sea. Silence followed. A $12 million helicopter obliterated, not by a bombardment, not by a swarm, but by 2 small missiles. Each missile cost $38,000. Together, less than the price of a new pickup truck.
Or radar guided, depending on the mission. So today during the live fire, we're going to concentrate primarily on the rockets and the 30mm, but believe me, the lethality of this missile is pretty incredible.
Well, tensions are escalating between the U.S. and North Korea. The U.S. military showing solidarity with South Korea.
The illusion of brute dominance collapsed in seconds, old power undone by precision, speed, and integration. If that was the fate of intimidation in the open air, the lesson grew sharper beneath the waves. Because the ocean holds no loud signals, only silence and surveillance. Intimidation without teeth is suicide in modern combat. A frame that looks fierce but cannot fight collapses against integrated systems. The Hind's bulk and noise carried weight in the past, but seconds against the Apache exposed the difference between doctrine and reality.
Tensions are building between the United States and the country of North Korea. China warned today that the standoff on the Korean peninsula could spin out of control.
Today, survival is tied to discipline, sensors, and kill chains that close faster than human reaction. Old playbooks that rely on shock and showmanship fracture under that pressure. And if you want to keep cutting through myths to see how battles are actually won, subscribe and join a community that confronts hard truths about modern conflict.